Ladies and gentlemen, you know the U.S. Postal Service have been in turmoil for quite some time, and look like things are just getting worse when it comes down to them. And you know, Trump is withholding money from them because of the mail-in ballots, which he does not want. So here's another problem, and this time it's hitting U.S. farmers. Thousands of chicks arrived dead to farmers amid U.S. Postal Service turmoil. This came out on Politico, August 20th, 2020. Boy, I tell you what, the last few years have been tough for farmers. If y'all remember all the flooding they have gone through for the last couple of years, and many of them couldn't get their crops in the ground because it was just so waterlogged, nothing would grow in the ground. And then the pandemic hit. Many of the farm workers are now getting sick with COVID. And it just seems like it's been one disaster after the next. I remember even doing stories where they didn't have enough people to even harvest their crops. And many of the farmers were losing crops that were like $2, $3 million, and they were just out there rotting. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because they heavily depend on the melanated people to do that work. They can't go out and do that work, they'll burn up. They may own the farm, but they can't maintain their own farm without help. It's a fact. All right. At least 4,800 chicks shipped to Maine farmers through the U.S. Postal Service have arrived dead in recent weeks after rapid cuts hit the federal mail carrier operations. Um, so their spokesperson, Shelley Penegry, a Maine Democrat, is raising the issue of the dead chicks and the losses of farms, are facing a letter to the Postmaster General Louis DeJoy and the U.S. Department of Agriculture Commissioner Sonny Perdue. The Portland Press Herald reported. Pauline Henderson, who owns Pine Tree Poultry in New Sharon, Maine, told the newspaper she was shocked last week when all of the 800 chicks sent from her to a hatchery in Pennsylvania were dead. Usually they arrive every 3 weeks like clockwork, she said. And out of 100 birds, you have maybe one or two that die in shipping. Thousands of birds that moved through the Postal Service Processing Center in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, were also dead, impacting several farms in Maine and New Hampshire, Henderson said. Stephen Doherty, a spokesperson for the U.S. Postal Service, said the agency cannot locate a claim being filed for this loss. Some animals, including live chicks, can be mailed safely under proper conditions. It's one more of the consequences of this disorganization, this sort of chaos they've created at the Postal Service, and nobody thought through when they were thinking of slowing down the mail, Penegry, adding that her office received dozens of complaints from farmers and others trying to raise a small flock of chickens in the backyard. Penegry said she isn't sure if Perdue is aware of how changes in the Postal Service are impacting small poultry farmers in the U.S. This is a system that's always worked before, and it worked well until these changes start being made, Penegry said. DeJoy, a Republican donor, who's the first Postmaster General who did not come from the ranks of the Postal Service, took control of the agency in June and has since swiftly engineered cuts and operational changes that are interrupting mail delivery operations. In Maine, 2 sorting machines were dismantled at the state's postal distribution hub. He announced Tuesday that he would halt some changes to the mail delivery that critics blamed for the widespread delays and warned could disrupt the November election, which is expected to bring a surge of mail-in ballots because of the coronavirus. DeJoy is scheduled to testify before the Senate on Friday. President Donald Trump made it clear last week that he was blocking $25 billion in emergency aid to the Postal Service, acknowledging he wanted to curtail election mail operations, as well as a Democratic proposal to provide $3.6 billion in additional election money to states to help process mail-in ballots. Those funds are tangled in a broader coronavirus aid package that was approved in the House but stalled in the Senate. The Postal Service is the only entity that ships live chicks and other small animals and has done so since 1918. Oh, that's a long time. 1918 to be shipping chicks and other small animals? According to the service website, rural Americans, including agricultural producers, disproportionately rely on U.S. Postal Service for their livelihood. And it's essentially that they receive reliable service, Penegris said. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here in New Jersey, where I live, if you go one town over from where I live, people can have live chickens. And when you drive through there, sometimes, they usually keep the chickens in the backyard, but you know how sometimes they'll wander, because my grandmother raised chickens when I was growing up. And they'll wander in front of the house, and sometimes they used to go under the house and everything. They wandered everywhere. So if you go there, every now and then you'll get a glimpse of people's chickens walking around in their front yard. They are allowed to have chickens. But you come one town over to where I am, they have an ordinance. You can't have livestock. It's just amazing how they got it set up, where you can go to several towns all around me and people can have chickens, or they can have certain types of livestock. But if you come in my town, it's not allowed. And people got the room for it here too. A lot of the homes got big backyards and you have room for it, but they won't allow it. Go figure, right? But y'all, please tell me what you think. This is one more black eye for the farmers on this one. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.